Hey, what's up, everyone? It's May, and it's a good time to be a gamer. So, just recently, the Oblivion remake, remaster, whatever you want to call it, just released last month on like the 23rd, I think. Claire Obscure, Claire Obscure Expedition 33 also released last month around the 24th. It's been out for about 2 weeks, and both those games are goddamn amazing. But we're not done yet. May 14th, we're having Doom Dark Ages, and at the end of the month of May, we're having Elden Ring Night Rain release. I am so looking forward to playing these games for the next few months. It's been a while since I've had a couple of games that I've actually wanted to play nonstop, and it's actually difficult to like choose what game I want to play. So playing with the Oblivion remake is like playing a brand new Elder Scrolls Bethesda game because I never played the original when it released in like 2006, all those years ago. So this is a brand spanking new game to me, and it's just surprising how well this has aged with just a new coat of paints, a new code of graphics compared to the old version. Just seeing that the original of this game was released in 2006 shows how ahead of its time it was. All it needed was that graphical updates that it had recently, and it is still an amazing game 20 years later. And that's because back then they built onto an amazing game. They put so much detail into this, even though it's not amazingly graphically intense. Claire Obscure Expedition 33, made by about 33 developers, ex Ubisoft developers. They made their own game development company, and this is the first game that they made. And this is also a massive banger. So playing Oblivion and Expedition 33 reminded me how good games can actually be. You don't have those battle passes, you don't have the cut content for DLC. The games feel so complete. They feel so much better. And it's you buy it and you get the full package, a fully released game that is almost perfect, without the bugs, without the errors, without the glitches, without crashing. I mean, Oblivion still crashed a very tiny bit for me that I noticed, but I've been playing it since its launch. I've been playing Oblivion since its launch, not super hardcore, but it has been absolutely amazing. So these two games remind me of what games used to be before they started adding the battle passes, the microtransactions, cutting content and releasing it later for DLC. These games are amazing. And this is just a wake-up call and a reminder how great these games were before these companies started getting super greedy. And did you hear that Nintendo is going forward with their Nintendo Switch 2? They're going to raise the price of games to 80, 90 bucks each, which is crazy. And then another company said they're going to also increase the prices, and this isn't good. Gaming is becoming much more expensive for people to get into. Not only do you not know if the game is going to be good right out the gate, it's becoming increasingly difficult to get into it because of the initial price tag. And Oblivion and Expedition 33 reminded me, like, this wasn't always the case. So what happened? You can say inflation, you can say tariffs. I just miss games that released in a pretty much fully complete state on their release. It's like, how did we get to this point? And it just came to the companies trying to nickel and dime microtransactions to make the most profits. But these games are showing that you don't need that to have a successful game. You don't need that to have a successful launch. Depending on who you are, these games were meant to be a way to either escape, experience art, experience a story, experience a world that you could never imagine, never see in real life. And just these two games recently releasing reminded me of that. I slowly became so tired of the daily logins, the pay for things, the pay for characters, the pay for weapons, the pay for everything in these games revolving around microtransactions, when I could just pay an initial 40, 50 bucks for the full game. And it's just amazing how far these game companies have fallen in trying to nickel and dime the microtransactions and get as much money from their fans, from their player base as they possibly can. And it's just baffling to me. And hopefully these two games show companies that if you make a good game the first time around, if these companies could minimize the microtransactions, minimize the paid DLC, these games could be absolutely amazing. But they built a system to try and extract as much money as possible from their fans instead of making a completely finished product and then moving on to their next title. They make a half-baked product, then they try and sell a DLC or solution later on in the game's life cycle. And it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. It leaves a negative experience for that game, for that company. And this kind of turned into a rant, but I just wanted to say how amazing some of these games that just released are, and how it made me realize that these companies have just become so greedy, bloated, and obsessed with their own ideals and sending a message that nobody wants to hear. And it's depressing, dude. It is. It would have been nice. It would be nice if we could go back to when game companies release a full game. Anyway, going back to our original topic, Oblivion Remastered is great. I hope Bethesda takes the reception of Oblivion Remastered and they go ahead, they make a remake of Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 3, because those are still amazing games that could also use an update. And hopefully they get a green light and more feedback, so when they're making their next Elder Scrolls title, they can actually make it the way their fan base enjoys, their fan base likes, and avoid making missteps. And Expedition 33 is amazing. I hope Sandfall Interactive, the creators of Clair Obscur, have a very, very fruitful game development journey, because this game has shown that a small group of around 33 people can make absolutely amazing games, amazing storylines, amazing graphics, and sound design in their games. You don't need massive 100+ developers, creators making one single game. You can do it with a small team if they have the passion, if they have the drive to make something amazing. And yep, I just wanted to talk a little bit about these games. And now April, May are absolutely amazing for great games launching. And if you enjoy these type of games, you're gonna have a good time. Anyway, that's it. It mostly turned into a rant. How these two games reminded me how good games can be, and how far these live service games have fallen. These microtransaction things have just somewhat destroyed gaming, depending on your perspective. I think it did. But if you like this, leave a like, leave a comment, leave a sub. I'll see you next time. I talk about video games on this channel, and I sometimes make funny little shorts. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.